One of the biggest questions out here is that what drives sales? What drives sales is opportunities on top of the funnel. And if you and your team don't have a systematic approach to put opportunities on top of the funnel, to put the right qualified opportunities on top of the funnel, then that funnel dries up. Today, I have with me Phil Bedford, a very dear friend, and somebody that is just a legend when it comes to the principle of building, we call it relationship marketing, Philip?
Relationship marketing.
Relationship marketing. And we really want to dig in today. If you are doing B2B sales, if you are in direct sales, if you're in any type of sales, I think these are some of the fundamentals that you want to be, to kind of tune in, to really take your game to the next level. Phil, how you doing?
Fantastic. Great to be here. Hi, how are you doing?
Fantastic. So, Phil, we were discussing this just before the episode in here is why do large teams don't focus or maybe have a blind spot building the capability of their own sales force to generate business through the cheapest yet the most effective method of marketing and promotion? What do you think?
And so what is that?
What is that? Okay.
People. Whether it's referrals, networking, your contacts. Most businesses know that these are the best leads because they're ultimately generated for free and they often convert the quickest. But how many businesses actually have a strategy to leverage that? We often find that small business owners will be generating that opportunity. But as a company grows, why do they not leverage that more as a strategy? And I don't think many people listening to this will have a strategy for networking.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I can tell you a story. In 2004, I left the direct sales business where our success or the success of my business depended on me first as a salesperson, depended on me getting referrals, asking for referrals, whether the prospects decides to buy or not. So I had to build enough rapport at the end of an hour for them to be comfortable to take up their phone and give me some names, right? However, it was that same exact strategy that I have utilized when I came to Dubai in 2004, worked with Unilever. My first 6 months was a key account manager selling in the food service industry. And I used the same exact principles to open multi-million-dollar account for Unilever. So I was programmed to ask who do you know, who else do you know could use? And I had that ingrained in me and I taught that internally, yet I see as I train many organizations today, it is a blind spot. It's a blind spot. People will want skills to do key account management, negotiate, but that is just that extra, I would say icing on the cake.
I would argue that the two of the most important skills in business is the ability to sell and the ability to build and leverage relationships internally in your business where you're selling yourself for promotions and also for efficiency in the business. And secondly, outside to get clients. And yet they're two of the last things that are ever taught in business school. People wait till afterwards. There may be one or two that are now teaching sales, but real strategic networking and business development, people wait until maybe they're in business a number of years later.
That's why it is, the concept of it's kind of like the last frontier. It's that, best kept secret. And I think there is a book out there, the best kept...
the world's best known marketing secret.
Best, what is it again?
The world's best known marketing secret,
which is the concept of building. So let's look at it. What are some of the preconceived notions or the beliefs? So if I'm a sales manager, okay, I'm going to send my team. I think today networking, people associate that with, okay, let's just go to where people are hanging and let's see what we get. Let's get a lot of business cards. I think you have a story about that. Can you tell us that?
Hold on.
Getting a lot.
I think one thing you have to hit immediately is the minute we say networking, there'll be people who are like, oh no, I'm finished with this video. But at the end of the day, if you want to get more sales, get more commissions, and ultimately get it easier, you need to keep tuning in.
Yeah.
Because one of the things we're going to talk about is the fact that most people are networking incorrectly. which is why it's such a waste of time for a lot of people. So I mean, there's a number of things to look at. And of course, one of the things is, why are you doing it? Well, what are you missing in that effect? And I think the challenge is for most salespeople, of course, is, let's face it, if you're sat in a business and you want leads, it's much easier if the company just gives them to you.
And many companies do have budgets and funds to put opportunities on top of the funnel. So they generate these leads.
Exactly.
And then the salesman is just used to getting these leads.
Yeah, I'll sit here, I'm a salesperson. Can I have some leads, please? Thank you very much. Cool. Right?
Right.
Question is, what happens when the leads don't come? Because either the company has budget constrictions or they're not coming. So what does the salesperson do then? If you want to succeed, if you're based on commission and your success is based on leads and there's nothing coming in or it's getting shared with the rest of the team and you want more, what do? It's down to you. And you do have that control. You can do something. And ultimately, it's free. And we are surrounded by people. And ultimately, it's people that buy from us, right? So if you want to do better, if you want that opportunity, you can make it happen. You just, let's say, maybe need to learn a little bit on how to do it.
So, Phil, let's go back to the fundamentals, right? How do we do it? How do we, what would be one of the things that a salesperson who says, okay, I know that leads now are becoming more expensive. My company is giving me less leads. Oh, not to mention, if I'm running so there are many companies who have a large size of customers base. So the salespeople are busy serving the existing customers while the market is growing bounds and leaps in terms of number of outlets. So if the company or me, if I'm not generating more potential opportunities, I'm not getting better coverage, so I need to proactively go after new opportunities, then the end is near if I'm not doing it. So step number one, what needs to happen from a mindset perspective to kind of break the ice there?
I think number one is you need to decide you want to do it or you're motivated enough to do it. So, and a lot of this comes down to the motivational factors delivered on us by the company. So if you're an order taker, sit down, wait for the leads and just ring, that's order taking. But at the end of the day, if you're tasked to get new business, then you need to realize I've got to do something new. So number one is to realize that you need to take action because you're motivated to do so.
Okay.
Then you might realize, okay, well, how do I do this in a way that's going to work for me? Because you may have experienced networking before and maybe wasted your time or didn't enjoy it. And so it's realizing that actually, number one, most people aren't networking at all. What they're actually doing is cold calling face to face. And the reason they do that is because that's what they were told to do by their bosses.
So what is cold calling face to face? So give us an example of that.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
So we've just met at a networking event.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hi, what's your name? Hi, I'm Phil.
Ramez.
What's your name? Ramez. Ramez, what do you do for a living? Like I really care because I just want to sell.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a professor.
Oh, you're a professor. Ramez, do you own a house by any chance? You do?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't? So you're renting? Oh, you're renting? It means you're wasting money. Well, I'm in real estate. And I think I'd like to sell you a house. How about we have a conversation about how I can sell you a house? In fact, how much have we wasted this year on rent? How does he feel?
Right.
I mean, I'm just selling. He just wants me to shut up.
I just met you.
Yeah.
I don't know the guy.
In fact, he wants to sell to me because you're networking as well.
Possibly.
So if we're both selling, nobody's listening. Right? And if you do that 20, 30, 40 times in a networking event, it's no wonder nobody hates it. So number one, changing the dynamic. Instead of when I'm talking to Ramez, I say, sorry, Ramez, what do you do?
I'm a consultant. I help people grow sales.
Grow sales. So what kind of sales would that be?
And this is typically within B2B, the B2B space, food manufacturing, food distribution.
So let me get this right. So like FMCG, big companies, like say, I know, bottle manufacturer, like fizzy drinks. Is that FMCG? Oh, okay. So you'd work directly with their sales department?
Right. So basically, companies will have difficulties in expanding their reach in the market. So they either sell direct or sell through distributors. So basically, one of the challenges that I help solve is if they have distributors, then I actually help the principal company to create systems and tools and trainings to drive productivity of their DSR, distributor sales reps.
Okay, so if I knew, for example, a company that was having trouble with sales or the distributors weren't selling enough, that's the kind of thing you would do.
That would be ideal.
Okay, so we pause here. I mean, we can go down the conversation a little bit further, but you see I'm showing interest.
Yeah.
and everybody ultimately wants to talk about themselves. So my goal here, instead of trying to sell immediately at Ramez, is find out what he needs. This is a sales conversation, by the way. Who is he? What does he need? What are his challenges? Now, if I can in some way, shape or form, number one, help you by connecting you or doing something, how do you feel about me that I've helped you?
Wonderful.
Wonderful, right? It's a different kind of conversation. But this is the principle of sales. All I'm doing is questioning and finding out what pains you have in your sales process, your life, your person, but then I'm trying to help. That's completely changed the dynamic, right? So now when I see Ramez again, he may not buy from me in a minute,
but I have a high level of respect for Phil. I have a high level of liking. I'm interested in him. The basic premise is the law of, liking. So when you show interest in someone, you find you want to help me achieve a goal, then I like him more.
And the conversation may not stop at business. The conversation might be, so what do you do in your spare time? And we find out that we both dance, or we both like certain kind of food or whatever. And then you get a human bond. And again, this is what people don't realize is when we find a commonality with another human being, we feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
When we feel safe, we're more inclined to buy. We're more inclined to help, to refer. But the problem is people are only talking about business. So we're looking at a little bit of a layered approach to business development. And here's another thing. I'm probably going to have to go back and see Ramez at the next time this event moves.
Mm-hmm.
Next time it turns up, I'll go back again, so I have a relationship. So the thing is with networking is it's not a slot machine. Bang, money comes out. It's more of a farming thing.
Wonderful. Phil, you mentioned a whole bunch of things there. And one thing that I want to explicitly mention in here, as he was actually asking me these questions, and he showed interest, and I can see his eyes moving, and he's thinking. I could actually see him, and I've known you for quite some time, and you did it very spontaneously. You moved into this thinking. So I actually know his brains are thinking. I know he's then doing something to want to help me, and automatically there was this affinity. Just like, wow, thank you. This is, and trying to explain to him. So actually, this is, as you rightly said, one of the laws of influence is called the law of liking, and you build liking through multiple different things. But one, you find something in common. Second, you help someone achieve a certain goal. What really builds liking is listening to a person. So when you're listening and you're asking what we call follow-up questions, research shows that asking these follow-up questions demonstrate to the person that is being asked that the person on the other side actually cares and is answering. So a lot of things, a lot of good things there. So, but people don't have time. People say, this takes a lot of time, Phil. I want something quicker, faster.
Absolutely. And that's why so many people revert to things like cold calling. Mm-hmm. So they want to call, success, not success, move on. Success, not success, move on.
Just want to go through the numbers game.
Yeah, but then you got like a 1 in 20 hit rate.
1 in 100.
Well, 100, yeah, whatever. I mean, it's really low, if it's even legal where you are. So the thing is, networking can take a little bit longer, okay? And what it does require is for you to go back a little bit. But here's the thing. People are nearly 60% more likely to buy from you if they're face-to-face.
If they are?
Face-to-face. Mm-hmm. Right? So imagine you've already got goodwill.
Okay.
My primary goal wasn't to sell it to you, it was to help you.
Yeah.
And I'll come back to you a couple of times. Most sales statistics state that you need to see people between 8 and 12 times for them to buy.
Mm-hmm.
That includes marketing messages, networking, meetings, between 8 and 12, right? So even normal sales driven is not going to happen the majority of the time until you do that.
Very rarely,
Yeah,
you're going to
very
have someone that's ready to buy what you're
It'll be like 1 or 2%.
So why even, it's like, it's going to take time anyway. Yeah. Why burn the bridge? This person, I was trained at a very young age, sorry for interrupting. Everyone has a phone, and that phone has today hundreds and thousands of contacts. If you build enough trust with this individual, and they have a close relationship with the, let's say 25 to 30 individuals, and they know what you do, it's only a matter of time before they will want to reciprocate that value back to you.
Yeah. So even from a sales perspective, you're very, very lucky if they close on that first case.
Yeah.
1-2% maybe. And in a networking event, all you've done is annoy everybody else because you sold them.
Correct.
So if you look at networking, it's almost the same. It still takes 8 to 12 touches. So that means you go back to the same sports club or you go back to the same networking group, but you go back a couple of times and you just look to build relationships. So number one, they're going to like you. Number two, if they're in the market to buy, they will when they're ready. But if they like you, they might refer you. So that's another business funnel from the same one.
Yeah.
But what the problem is, people don't go back to the same networking event twice. Or if they do, not 3 times. And for a number of reasons. One, because they didn't get immediate results.
So they discouraged, it doesn't work.
Exactly. But they're not realizing that even sales takes 8 to 12 times.
So their mindset is, I want a quick sale right now, as opposed to going in to really build a relationship, as opposed to go get a sale in the spot, on the
And
spot.
allow it to come.
Right.
And the other thing is I've seen is that I have met salespeople that do actually enjoy these sessions. They can start to feel it moving, but that's what happens. Go back to the office. Sales manager says, where's your results? You've got to stop going there. I want you to go somewhere else because you should have results by now. Because the manager doesn't understand the 8 to 12.
Right.
So it's not always our fault.
So if you are leading a sales team and your team actually is, is spending time networking, right? One way you can do is ask them, who are the people you're meeting? Tell me more about what are their goals? What do they want to achieve? Because if they can't answer these questions, it means that they haven't done the networking properly. They need help in terms of better connecting with these individuals, because then they probably would have annoyed the person. And it doesn't matter if they go to 1 or 100 of these networking doing the wrong thing, more of the wrong results will keep coming up.
Well, there you go. I mean, we can simplify this. Number one, you got to network in the right place. So you as a salesperson are in amongst the people you should be in amongst.
So, give me an example here.
Well, let's just say if I'm selling software to accountants, right? If I'm selling software to accountants, I can go to a general business group with 300 people in the room, but that could be a multitude of different business owners. And I might be lucky, if I'm lucky, and all those people can meet one accountant. Or I could go to a group of accountants that are meeting because they want to talk about accountancy things. Well, if I can network there, what's my chance of hitting it?
So being more
strategic.
Yeah. So you find target audience, find
the target audience. So number one, you've got to select the network, and most people are selecting the networks based on the amount of people that are there rather than who's there. Okay.
So it's not a numbers game, it's a quality game.
Quality game. And then when you're there, you need to have the skills to develop those conversations, because if you walk in there and just sell inappropriately, you'll burn your bridges. Everyone will be like, oh, you want to stay away from him. Oof. So you've got to be strategic. So number one is where you go. Number two is what you do when you're there. And then the other one, of course, is follow up. You've met these conversations. You've met these people. You have to follow up to nurture that opportunity. And in my experience, 95% of people do not follow up.
So let's talk a bit about the follow-up. So what type of follow-up are we talking about, Phil?
So follow up in an appropriate manner. So remember...
So I'll send you an email with all my offerings and all my things.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Right.
Unless the other person asks for it.
Got it.
So when we follow up, what we've got to remember is we're following up to build a relationship,
right?
To maintain our personal and business brand with the person we met. If I have a great conversation with you about your lovely wife and your hobbies and your food, and you think, oh, what a lovely guy. And then I follow up and say, oh, by the way, here's everything I could do for you.
Brochure.
Here's my brochure. Here's my sell. You'll be like, oh, so that was just fake. Didn't really care. Just wanted to sell to me.
Right.
So we have to back up, right? So when I follow up, the most simple could be, I really enjoyed our conversation. I look forward to seeing you next time. And you're like, that was nice.
Yeah. Connect with them on LinkedIn.
Nice. Connect with them on LinkedIn.
Comment on some of their interest posts. So start building that relationship offline and online.
So next time I see you, it's that nice guy. I'd love to have a chat with you.
Here you go.
But if I do the sales thing or I don't follow up at all, oh gosh, I'm so sorry I didn't send you the message. I'm so sorry I forgot. Oh, that is sales email. Oh my gosh, what a great way to start a relationship. So also this is personal credibility. So you follow up in a manner that you agreed based on your conversation.
Right. I think here there's a lot of valuable insights, and from a sales perspective, the concept here, Phil. I'll give our example. I've known Phil maybe close to 20, maybe 18 years or so.
It's a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
All I'd like to say is I never had hair when we met.
So nothing changed. Okay. But I've built that relationship with Phil, so I got to know him, and actually, even Ramez, as a direct seller, at one point in time, starting my business, the Academy for Sales Excellence. You remember that conversation? Phil invited me to learn about networking. I'm thinking, networking, come on. I mean, I'm the king of direct sales. I know how to do that. But once I sat, so the key is to humble ourselves. I said, I lose nothing. Let me go and see what he's got to say. And the moment you opened your mouth and started sharing these principles, and as a let's say younger entrepreneur from who I am today, realizing, it's a pleasure to have an army. It's a pleasure to build this network of people where we got each other's backs, right? And I can say this one investment in learning, developing, and even building on whatever fundamentals I already had has brought millions of dirhams, dollars over the last,
And I've always acknowledged your humility, and I use that story. And by the way, later on, I invested in myself and my business by attending Ramez's programs because I recognized I had a need. So I had to humble myself and learn, and hence we got this great relationship, and off it goes. But the interesting thing here is there's a difference between networking, a networking group, and your personal network. Well, they're all different, right? And so until we start to realize what they are, we don't know how to use them necessarily.
And we don't have a proper process to build any one of them. So you need a network, right? You need to be networking. And what's the other one?
Your personal network.
And then your
personal network, networking group.
Networking groups is the one that I missed. And talking about that, it takes the right mindset, right? So I am very appreciative that I joined the Ascentive network back, in 2010 when I first started. At the time, it was called the Referral Institute.
Yeah, I'm an Ascentive. Yeah.
And that staying around like-minded individuals and people that have a common target. So again, there's a whole strategy, and I highly, highly recommend that you keep, taking some ideas in here and then possibly explore ways of how you can actually build that competence for yourself and your team, regardless if it's with Ramez or Phil or any other way, because this is a viable way of building and of generating future results.
So I think I want to leave, from my perspective, one metaphor, one image with any salesperson here. And I think we mentioned this at the beginning. The challenge is you're always under pressure to perform now. And I get that. At the end of the week, what's your sales targets? What did you do? So we're always under pressure as salespeople. And so when it comes to networking and we say, you're going to have to meet people a few times and you have to go back, you're like, yeah, but I need it now, right? And so what I would like to leave you with is a thought. Imagine a sponge, an old style sponge. And when you pour a little bit of water on top of the sponge, what happens to the water? Just a little bit. It goes in, doesn't come out, right?
No, and it doesn't even show that.
It doesn't even show,
yeah,
right? And then you drip another bit, nothing. And you drip a bit more, nothing. And then a bit more, nothing. And this is a little bit like networking. You kind of drip, see people, drip relationships, drip network, go back again, you drip, 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 drip. And it might take you a couple of weeks, couple of months. But then one day, what happens when you put that last drip in? The water comes out, right? But if we don't do any of the drips, it doesn't come out. So this is part of the relationship building process. This is part of the networking process. Now, the thing is, if you're continually networking, every time you're coming out, what you're doing is filling sponge after sponge after sponge. So you may have a delay to start with, but when that first sponge starts to get rid of its water, which is ultimately money and clients for you, but you keep doing it, each week there's a new sponge opening up. So you may have a delay at the beginning, but you keep networking, and then the sponges will keep coming.
So I have a sales team. Let's say I have 15 or 20 individuals, right? And the market size is, just for example, in the UAE, there is more than 250,000 businesses alone, right? There's more, but I'm just utilizing statistics that is a little bit outdated. And I have a lot of business, and I think today's salespeople or sales organizations confuse activity with productivity. So the team might be active. They're busy. They're busy doing what? Are they busy serving existing customers? Are they busy doing administration for existing customers? So I think if we're not measuring, if we don't really understand, right, that 1 second, the time that they're utilizing isn't really going to putting these sponges, these multitudes of sponges, so that eventually we can get the water gushing in a way. So what can you tell sales leaders who have 20 or so or 15 salespeople? What can you tell them if they do not, let's say, build that strategy to help their team not only serve existing customers, but also generate more opportunities, utilizing these basic fundamental skills?
Well, first of all, I would say to any sales managers, make sure you teach or get your staff to learn how to network effectively and efficiently. Because, just doing something again and again and again incorrectly is, what was it they said? The sign of ignorance is...
Insanity is doing the same, expecting a different result.
Oh, right. And the thing is, most people who expect you to network have never even learned themselves. Okay, so you can't teach someone if you can't do yourself. And just walking around handing out business cards and maybe, if you're lucky, doing an elevator pitch is not networking. If it was, I wouldn't have a job to teach. It's too simple. Okay, so number one's learn.
Yeah.
But secondly, if you're not going to teach your people how to do this, you just got to find more money.
You just
have to find more money to generate leads another way.
Right.
Simple as that. Right. So you're going
to spend money either on that or on something else.
Yes. If you're not going to train these people to do it, then you're going to have to find other ways to get leads, which is spending money. And ultimately, there's only two ways to get clients. You can spend money or you can get them for free. And if you want to spend a little bit of money on training your team, there is a bit of an investment to start with, but ultimately that's free business going forward.
And there's a delayed reaction.
There's a delayed reaction, but the trouble is everybody's stuck on this.
Yeah.
Because it's trackable. I gave you this much money, you did this many calls, I know exactly what it is. So people who want to be in charge and in control have more control here. This one, maybe there's a little bit of a will of faith. But by the way, you can also track networking. So managers can actually say, where did you go? How many conversations? Who did you follow up? But the manager would also have to understand what networking is.
So they need to be educated
as well.
What to track, these leading indicators. So what are the actions that a potential salesperson is doing that actually is helping them get quality networking, personal networks. What are they doing to build these three different pillars to get the result?
Well, I can give you a perfect example. I won't mention the company, but I have been talking to this company about training their sales teams. I've been talking to them for nearly 10 years, and they've still not done it. 10 years, and they've still not done it. And they're always coming for me, Phil, can you train the team? Yeah, I'd love to. Here's this quote, and they don't do it. And for 10 years, they've been talking about, we need to get our sales teams out there networking because we've got one or two people in our group who are amazing and they're generating the best leads, the best quality, the best conversion. The rest of them don't. But the company hasn't taken action on that yet. I can only imagine what it's cost them over the last 10 years. And recently, one of their salespeople turned up on my networking events and walked away with 2 prospects from an hour. This person did it off their own back, turned up with 2 prospects, went back to the company, said, guess what happened this week? They didn't turn up. And you've got to wonder why. Maybe the company didn't free them up, they didn't come back. But the point is, at the networking event, again, there was more new people. There's more new people to come. So it works.
But they stopped it.
They stopped for whatever reason. And so sometimes, I don't even know why. But one of the things I learned years ago, if it's working and it's giving you what you want, find ways to do more of it.
Right. There is something called the multiplier effect, Phil, and it's like the little things that make a big result on people. And, the 1% better. So like, they say there are 2 types of pains, either the pain of regret or the pain of discipline. Regret is, is failing to discipline yourself over time to do these little, to attend these networking events. Right. So I didn't do the first time, second, and then after a while, it's such a huge, let's say, a disadvantage that others who have networked, who are, let's say, closer to the opportunities, are able to, you can say, read them a lot better. Right. The other pain is the pain of discipline. Discipline yourself to be at the networking event, to learn the basic principles, to do these basic things. And at the end, you build habits. And research on habit building shows today that on average, there is something called a simple or a complex behavior. Networking or selling is not as simple. It's a very complex behavior, and it's not going to be built in 1 or 2 days. It actually will take anywhere between 30 to 120 or 200 or 300 days or so, research on the topic, but on average of 66 days. So if you put in your mind, I will just do small things for 2 months, 3 months. Let's just say I'm going to do small things for the first 10 days. So if you do something for 10 days, right, you spend, you make hi, how are you phone calls, 2 hi, how are you phone calls for 10 days, that's reaching out to 20 different individuals, not to sell, but to actually see, hi, how are you? And I can't tell you the number of times I followed this simple strategy, and it has generated opportunities without me even asking for these opportunities. So imagine doing that for an entire year and have this habit. This is one of the simple, I would say, techniques or simple strategies that Phil teaches at some of his programs.
It's interesting, and I don't. Maybe you guys can tell me for what reason people don't embrace this. I think most of the times it's mindset, or you don't know, bad experience, pressure from somebody else. But the interesting thing is people are finding more and more expensive and complicated ways to try and find clients. But the most simple thing on the planet is
still face-to-face.
And if you can do more of it, and especially in an environment with good people, with some skills that make it more comfortable for you, and a couple of tweaks, guess what? Pretty much guarantee your competition aren't there. So that's open field. And even if they do turn up once, the chances are, because they don't understand networking, they don't come back anyway. So you just stay there. And I've got a lady in one of my networks. She does a business setup. She's at nearly every session. She's won awards. She's closed multiple clients. She's really done well. But she turns up as a good person, and it's the 8-12 thing. Someone else doing exactly the same thing turns up twice, maybe has a conversation and doesn't come back. They sell the same thing. One doesn't get anything, the other one gets tons because she keeps it's this science we were talking about. 8 to 12 times, positive mindset. She contributes to other people, and your competition could do the same. They could fail equally once you've learned how to do that. But there are people out there that I'm talking to, and networking is not your thing.
Right.
Some people it's not them, and that's okay. Find what works for you. But if you do see this as something that can work, it can be good.
I love the analogy that you shared with me once, and it's like, when is the best time to build the roof? Is it when it rains or before it rains? The answer is obvious, right? It's before it rains, right? And today, in many organizations, is it raining? In other words, is there lack of business? Are we feeling more competition? Are you feeling the pressure that today's development, AI, and all the different things have really caused businesses to suffer? Today, I was at a client, and he's saying, "Okay, summer is coming, and we have some of our clients who actually will go out of business in this upcoming season because that it's known it's a slower time, and if they haven't done the right things, it's going to be their end." So I think here today, I believe a very good defense is an offense. And today, whether the business is doing very well, I think because if your business is doing very well, do take the time to investigate, to really put in a proper plan. And just as you have a key account management strategy, you have let's say a personality style, behavior or negotiation training. I really think, and I highly recommend looking at building a referral pipeline, helping your team generate their own opportunities so that everybody can benefit from that.
And as a sales manager, you can only look better if you're bringing in more leads and more business with less spend.
So Phil, talking about the specialized type of networking or networks, tell us a little bit about what have you done over the last years to build the infrastructure for multiple different niches. So if our audiences are from the hospitality or from the IT or from the sports business, whatever, just share with us a little bit about what are some of the resources that people can start participating in almost immediately.
Yeah, so I co-own a networking group called Strategic Business Connect, and the words are in there.
Strategic
Business Connect. And the idea really there is to help particularly salespeople and business owners and people who are empowered for sales to be very strategic in their selection of where they go networking. So, for example, if you understand where your potential clients could be, then we have strategic industry groups that allow you to say, that group is where I'd find my clients, or there's a very high potential that the people in that group would be able to refer me and connect me to clients. So number one, it allows you to be very focused. Then what we do in each of these sessions is we limit the number of attendees. So the number one, even introverts are comfortable, but more importantly, you can guarantee you're going to speak to everybody in the room. So what have we got? We've got super focused networking. You're guaranteed to speak to everyone in the room. And we guide the conversation so you can extrapolate as many possibilities from each conversation as possible. This is highly effective, highly comfortable, and a great way to get into networking.
And even when I attend these sessions, it's a way of giving back. So meeting people, genuinely being interested in them, wanting to help them, and they end up helping me. They end up giving me referrals and things like that. So again, having been part of the network and just testing these various networks is very, very highly effective. I can tell you.
Yeah, and if you're not sure which networking group, you can always check out the website. But if you're not sure which one would best serve you, feel free to reach out to me either through Ramez or myself, and we can certainly suggest which would work for you. But here's the great thing: is 9 times out of 10 I'm there myself, so I actually get to advise and help with that. I get to meet you and give pointers. So it's a very warm environment, which I think is important for networking. So one is just being around the right people. Other people is you contribute to that dynamic yourself, which is very human.
Absolutely. So again, if you'd like to take the first steps, this is a fantastic way to learn more and take your little actions in that direction. So we'll see you there. Who knows, you'll see Phil, and who knows, you might see me there as well. So just as a way of summarizing the session today and really leaving and just kind of jotting these 4 things that you can take action on. Phil, if you're able to summarize for us, what are the 3 or 4 steps that our audiences can take immediately to actually start building that roof before it rains?
Number 1, do it.
Okay, decide that you want to do it.
Do it. Number 2, have a look at your mindset and remember that it's not a sales immediately. It's about giving and helping and connecting. So change your mindset. Number 3, learn and discover how to develop a conversation to explain what you do. So there is a skill set to look at. How do you explain what you do in a way that they understand?
And that you're memorable and that they'll want to connect with you again, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. Because if you can't explain what you do, the more technical you get, the less chance they understand. So understanding that, there's a whole training around that. And then ultimately follow up.
Just keep doing it.
And then keep doing it.
Right. So here you go. Multiple different.
Think of the sponge.
Think of the sponge. So again, it's been a pleasure to have this conversation with Phil. This is not our first time together. If you haven't heard the first webinar or the first conversation we had, highly recommend you go back and check that episode out. And again, just building more value to our audiences. So if you'd like to discuss, or if you'd like us to explore further, how could you develop your own, build your own roofs, just feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to follow up. How's that?
Thank you.
Wonderful. So until next time, sell more, sell faster, and profitably.